literally about the food that goes from America's farms to your dinner table. So did you know that in the last 10 years, China's ownership of American agricultural land has increased by 5,300%? And no, that is not a typo. If that thought scares you, you are not alone. Governor Kristi Noem is on the front lines trying to get states and Congress to work together to stop countries like communist China, other foreign adversaries as well, from getting a hold of U.S. farmland. And the governor of the great state of South Dakota joins us now. Governor Noem, always good to see you. Thanks for being here. I want to ask you about China in the heartland, not on your watch. Tell us a little bit about what's going on out there, Governor. Good to see you.
Well, we've seen China aggressively go after purchasing our land in this country. And my belief has been for over 20 years now that we've systematically seen China buy up our supply chains. They not only control most of our prescription drug ingredients, they also control our chemical companies, our fertilizer companies. And now we've seen them in the last several years go out into several different states and purchase up ag land. And I really believe that when they do control supply chain, they will control the United States of America. If we think a pandemic was scary, wait until people go to the grocery store and they realize they can't feed their children because China has decided that they are not going to allow it because they want to aggressively pursue their agenda in this country. So I have asked Chairman Gallagher in the U.S. House of Representatives, who is overseeing the Select Committee on China, to adopt this amendment. It's a bill that he has and put it into the National Defense Authorization Act. It would prevent China from purchasing our farmland. It would make sure that it is a national security issue and that we are being aggressive on making sure that we're protecting freedom and liberty here in the United States.
What's really at the heart of this, if you know? I've heard speculation, for example, that it might be the National Board of Realtors that like the idea that they can make these massive profits by selling to Chinese buyers because they'll pay top dollar. And for land that might not otherwise be worth as much money. Who's the real culprit here, and who really needs to be called out on this, Governor?
Well, I think it's the leadership of the United States of America. We have to put America first and decide that this is a national security issue, that it is a real threat and danger to our people if we have a communist country owning property next to our security interests. For instance, here in South Dakota, we have Ellsworth Air Force Base. It is going to be the home of the next generation bomber. It is where DOD is going to be putting the next aircraft that will protect us for the next 50 to 60 years. I think it's important that we have an area around that Ellsworth Air Force Base that is not allowed to be purchased by a country whose sole goal is to destroy us. And we've seen China and its dictators have a plan for hundreds of years to become a world power, to be dominant. We have the people of the United States, which I fear in this day and age are not even willing to be inconvenienced in order to protect our national security. So it's an education process, and we have to show them how things are fundamentally changing here in the United States, how aggressive China is being, and make sure we're putting in place policies that really do protect our freedom.
Governor, let me transition from China to Israel. We haven't talked since that attack on the Israeli citizens, the brutal attack. Where are you on this as it relates to kind of how the United States should handle this at this point? Because Biden, good luck with that. That's an Excedrin moment, not just waiting to happen. It's literally happening as we speak. So what would you do exactly? How would you kind of handle this? What needs to happen, especially from an America First perspective? Israel has their war that they need to fight and win. The United States needs to give them support. But what does that support look like exactly? And how should they go about handling this?
Israel's our greatest ally, and it has been for years. And it is a country that we need to be strong and out front with, and have their back and give them assistance. I'm so grateful that they have a strong prime minister in Netanyahu right now who recognizes the real threat that Hamas is to their country and to their people. And we need to be very, very clear. I think the Biden administration has completely muddled the message of how important Israel is to us. And I think that they've tried to be politically correct instead of really being leaders on making sure that we're educating people on what the true goal is here. This is not about any kind of an agenda other than Hamas is seeking to destroy the Jewish people and bring them into extinction. And we will not stand for that. So my prayer is that we continue to be Israel's strongest ally, that we are there to stand beside them and with them through this time, and to allow them to take the action that they need to take to protect their country and their people. They are democracy in the middle of a region that is filled with conflict and has been for hundreds and hundreds of years. They're critically important, not just to our national security here in the United States, but for me specifically as a Christian, we grew up recognizing that they were God's chosen people and that we are to support them, be with them, and to pray with them, and to stand with them. And to see different people lose sight of that in recent days because of this conflict has been absolutely devastating and heartbreaking for me, because I truly do believe that the blessings of our country come from also standing with Israel during this time. So there can't be any confusion on where the United States of America stands in this conflict. We stand with Israel.
Well, we keep telling them that they need to take a timeout. I don't know when timeouts started in wars, but this is a new concept on most Americans. Regarding the hostage situation, I'm very concerned about this, Governor Noem. Maybe you know more than I do, so I'm just going to ask you. It's very bothersome to me that the hostages that are being released are some of the worst anti-Semite, most brazen murderers, and in some cases even we've had suicide bombers that were released. And I don't understand why Israel's making this decision. One quote from one hostage that was released said this. It said, "We are waiting for you in the West Bank cities from Hebron to Jenin. We will slaughter you. We will do what Hitler did to you and say what he did was a joke. We'll drink your blood and eat your skull." I mean, it goes on. These are disgusting. This is one of the people that they decided to release. Can you help us understand why these brazen hostages are among the first being released?
And this is the danger that happens when you start to negotiate with terrorists, which has not been the policy of the United States in the past. This administration has broken that policy, and now we're seeing the consequences of that. And Israel will have to live with that, but we will have to live with that as the United States of America, too. We are be less secure because of how this was negotiated. We are more threatened here in our homeland because of the way that this was put forward. So I'm grateful, of course, for the innocent individuals who now are home with their families. And we all are thankful that that is a blessing they get to enjoy today. But what we also have done is proliferated a policy now that will end up with Israel losing, us losing, but also the Jewish people continuing to face unprecedented horrors because of what has happened the last few days.
Governor, I got to get over to politics for a quick second before we let you go. If I look into our active chat, our audience, who loves you, by the way, they will just keep saying, Kristi Noem for VP, Kristi Noem for VP. And then there's another one. Oh, look, Kristi Noem for VP. What do you say to those people? What do you want to say to our audience?
Well, there's a lot of people they're talking about for vice president. I think that I have for long supported President Trump. I think he had his priorities right when he was leading this country, and he allowed me as a governor to do my job, which I'm incredibly grateful for. Now with Joe Biden in the White House, I'm on defense every single day. So I think during this time, everybody needs to recognize how important it is to get him back in the White House so that we can continue to be the greatest country in the world and we can continue to protect our country. I'll do all that I can to be helpful, whatever that effort is. I think he needs to pick the vice president that helps him win. I don't want him to win, and that's going to be his decision and his alone, and I trust him with that.
Governor Kristi Noem, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks, Governor.
All right, coming up, is your delivery driver going above and beyond for the holidays? We have videos of those who did. You won't want to miss this. But first, we'll spill some tea with one of the founders of Artillery Tea Company. That's next as American Sunrise continues.